Hello and welcome to the Artists Make Money podcast, where artists share their thoughts and feelings about money. I'm your host, Vivienne Egan. I'm an interactive theatre and comedy producer, podcaster and freelance business writer, and I love discussing the endlessly creative ways artists build their incomes. Today's guest is artist, illustrator and map maker Sonja Bajic. We talk about how she built up her niche as a map maker, the realities of approaching businesses for work as an artist, setting yourself up to attract luck, and developing new income streams through teaching your craft to others. This episode of Artists Make Money is brought to you by our friends at Side Hustle Sites. They make designer flat pack websites, like the IKEA of websites, with helpful instructions and guides for how to make your website look really great. It is cheaper than Squarespace and their templates are actually specialized to particular jobs. So they've got templates for theatre professionals and for freelance writers. I'm actually about to use them to build my freelance writing website because I don't have one. Or they can actually design you a website from scratch, which they did for me on the Artists Make Money website. If you sign up via sidehustle-sites.com/AMM, I will link that in the show notes, you will get a fantastic professional looking website and your first month subscription free and the second month half price. That is just for Artists Make Money listeners. On with the show. Hello Sonja, welcome to the Artists Make Money podcast. Can you please start by telling our listeners who you are and how it is that you make your money?
Hello, Viv. Nice to see you after over a year, right? So yeah. It's been a while. I'm Sonja. I am a map maker. I'm an illustrator, and I'm a teacher. So I wear many hats, and I've been like that multifaceted person all my life. It's just that now I have that. I put everything down to 3 titles. So I'm a map maker, illustrator, and teacher.
Tell us about being a map maker. That's a niche.
It's a niche, and that's how I make the most of my money, actually. So map making for me is, I have 2 master degrees in architecture and urban design. So I actually moved from Serbia to Paris almost 10 years ago to study urban reconstruction. And I'm very passionate about cities. Like I like built environment, but I worked as an architect and I think architecture is beautiful, but I think I found myself in illustration. And that's something that, I wake up for drawing. So I am like very excited to do that. But like for me, like map making is something that connects that like architectural part of myself that I actually rarely mention because like I've been working as an illustrator for such a long time. But I think like map making is like stems from that thing, from knowing how to draw a plan, from drawing plans all my life, like before Google Maps, like if you find a new little cafe, I actually drew like this street, that street, that street. This is where the boulangerie is, and then this is the cafe. So like I have notebooks and notebooks like filled with those little like maps, right? And I also have excellent orientation. Like I know that it's something that people like, especially like women often tell me, oh, like my orientation is terrible, right? But like genetically, my mom has it and I do, and like for me, like drawing a map like is explaining things in my head. And I think where I live, this is a very quirky place. So there's a lot of things that you can show on the map, right?
So how is it that map making makes you most of your money?
I think the big companies that ask me for maps is that's mostly like because they want to, for example, if they're going on a road trip, which is obviously not happening in the last year, but like they would, it's like they want like, imagine having a diagram explaining what you're going to do on that road trip. So like to make it more quirky, they ask me for a map, right? Or like all the places they will be visiting. So I would put on a map. Also, I did huge map of Paris and of Rome, and hopefully we'll do Barcelona as well, or Madrid, we'll see. So it's a big tourist company here in Paris. Again, like everything's closed right now, but like that's something that is like I did maps for them because people open the map and they get lost, looking at the map, and like I think by drawing something that is beautiful and that is like again that word quirky and that is like that like makes you look more. I think it explains in our head much better where we are and what we can experience in the city. And I think that's why people actually ask me to do maps. I also do maps for weddings, for example, right, and gifts. And my first company was called Mappery.
Oh.
And like boulangerie, boucherie, Mappery. So wasn't I don't think it was a good name, but it was a name. And it was making personalized maps.
Right.
Yeah.
So, how do they find you, these big companies or people who are getting married?
It's Instagram mostly. So
Yeah.
Instagram and a lot of cold emailing,
Okay.
and um, a lot of all social networks that you can imagine. It's I learned to be apart from being an artist, I learned to be a businesswoman, which was very painful at the beginning. But I have it in me, and I realized that like it needs to be done. Like you need to sit down and make that vision map, and make that strategy plan, and make that marketing plan, and talk to people and make mistakes, and read books, and all do that, and like create art and be whatever you are, and have like friends and relationships and all of that like at the same time, but like you need to be at the same time businesswoman or businessman and a artist, because that's the only way I think I can in my head explain how I will succeed and how I have been succeeding.
Yeah. I think that is such like a great insight because I think certainly, when you look at famous, or well-known people in their craft, who maybe do something like sell to corporate, I think there's maybe a little perception that those people just like, I don't want to say like arrive kind of fully formed, but as in like people just find them and like you're so brilliant as an artist that people just flock to you. And it's like, I mean, that might happen very occasionally, but I think the actual stuff is the hard work of, as you say, just cold emailing. Tell us more about that, because I think people are going to find that really daunting as an idea. So like, who are you emailing? How are you finding them? What are you saying to them? Like I can make you a map.
It's literally that. Yeah. It's like you are like I've been working in illustration since 2013, right? So and my portfolio is immense. I have over 100 maps, which is huge, right? And maybe even more. Like I'm counting big maps. I mean, I'll just show you. There's like a bunch of them inside. So this is my map of Paris, right? Like, and it's huge. It's really big, right? So, and I did this. So like I started doing that. You cannot just like make maps. You need to know why you're doing something. And I needed this map because a lot of my friends started moving outside of Paris. So for me, those things were very interesting. Like, to know what are the names. So somebody says, "Oh, I'm living in Malakoff," and you're like, "Where the fuck?" And now I know where Malakoff is, right? So I think if you want to, that's the first thing. If you want to make something to sell, I think it needs to be. I approach it from a very honest place because like maps really interest me. Like city really interests me. History of it, who lives there, where they live, why they live, all of that, and that's like that all crumbles together to that's like part of my personality, all of that, and like I'm very passionate about that. So if you would ask me, hey, you want to do a map of this and that, and like we're gonna do, I mean, it's just like I'm very like it's very interesting for me to learn a place through doing the map, right? Mm-hmm. So I've been that's like the second thing would be I also did a lot of maps for magazines and books. So there was a Chilean magazine. There is still, it's called Pola, Isabel Allende, like the writer. So she actually founded that magazine, and it's named after her daughter. And I like it's a journalist. She's a blogger and a journalist, Instagrammer from Chile who lives in New York. She asked me to do a maps for her articles for the Chile. That was years ago. That was like 5 years ago. To do like maps for her where she's traveling, right? So and that's like a personalized map because you're doing a map for somebody who's basically it's her personal map, right? So my whole idea of like having a map free as a business was that you come to me with 10 places, right? And I draw those 10 places on your map. So what are Viv's plates in London, right? What are Sonja's plates in Novi Sad, which is my hometown? And like it's like that. Like I had people coming. I did a map of Milwaukee. I probably don't even pronounce that well. Because for the wedding, right? I did map of Aruba for that blogger. I did maps. I'm trying to think of like interesting maps. Like I mean, all of them are interesting, but like some places that you like, you never think of, right? So, and that's how it all started. And I still have a lot of people coming to me, like asking me for personalized maps. So that's obviously it happens more when people are traveling, right? But like still, that's something we are missing so much that people still come to me and be like, hey, I had a really nice time in Livorno in Italy. So can you do a map for me? So I did a bunch of maps for Christmas and like, wedding anniversaries and whatnot. So and then like from that place, I realized that in order to work for big companies and like big hotels and like people who are, I don't know, like maps that would like interest me, that I would be interested in doing, but it also doesn't have to be only a map. It can be a diagram or like some kind of explanation through the map. Like I would like sit down and write them and be like, this is my portfolio, guys. Like, would you be interested in working with me? I mean, you like percentage rate of people who respond to your emails is like very tiny.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what everybody needs to know. Like I write mails for a month and a half and then like my heart gets broken. Right. And then I'm just like, okay, now I'm going to sit and cry for 2 days and then I'm going to restart because that's what everybody does. Right. Yeah. So,
and so yeah. were you writing to their marketing team, their HR department?
It depends who you find online. So it really, really, really depends. Like I would like for me, cold emailing, I don't like I understand it as an idea, but like I'm hoping they're gonna you don't know if they get that email, if that email is being read, if like, I think obviously all of that, like you just need to be persistent and you need to have a good portfolio. That's the thing as well. So it needs to be I don't send only maps because I've done books, I have like cards as well, postcards. I have lot of people. I have like, like my portfolio is like 10 pages, like of like small drawings, and like it needs to be something very captivating so people would actually go through that and feel what you're giving to them with your work. And I think that's very important, like that your portfolio shows that, because like I am not like a mid-century person. I love mid-century style, but that's not what you're going to get with my map, right? So, and in order to have a good connection with the person who's asking you to do work for them, it needs to be like they need to understand what you're offering to them, and that's why don't offer anything. If you don't want to draw dogs, don't offer dogs in your portfolio.
Yep, that makes sense.
Because like pets make money, but like I don't draw pets
Not
anymore.
interested.
I don't draw pets. I did. I've done that, but like
Yeah.
it's not like I'm not doing it anymore because it's hard.
Yeah. Well, that is cool that you're in a place where you're able to like focus on the thing that you like instead of the thing that you know makes money.
Well, I think it's always a balance between
Yeah.
all of that, right? So, and that's what my mom said to me recently. She said a year ago, she's like, I don't know who promised your generation that working is supposed to be fun. And I'm like, mic drop, this is it, right? So, because yeah, there's like, I like from 9 hours that I work per day or even more, which I do not recommend, is like you you have part of work that it's not only not fun, it's dreadful. You hate that part, but you need to sit down. You need to do that because nobody else is going to do that for you, right? And that changed me. Like that changed a lot, like how I see work, because like I really enjoy doing what I'm doing. Right, I did a little drawing of Parisian cafe because they're reopening cafes and bars last night. It's like a little animation. I love making animations, and I was just like, "This is great," right? But like, this is this is still my work, but like like I spend all day like doing a lot of things that I not really like excited about doing. But it's
Mm.
Monday, and there's a lot of things you need to do, and that's the business side, and that's what you need to balance with your artistic side, right? So obviously there's like maybe you're that person who's like the next um whoever. I don't even know the example because like you don't know also with that, like you don't know who is being honest with their path, who's not being honest with their path.
Mm.
So so you think that like things happen, that they open their account at the right point, or that like everybody saw them, or like there's a lot of things, and like I think everything needs to be taken with a grain of salt, and you just need to do what makes you feel, do the things that you like why did you start doing this, and then go with that,
Yep.
right? So but that's also asking yourself right questions, or having friends that ask you right questions,
Mm. Mm.
so do you want to do this all your life? Do you want to do this 30 years from now? Do you want to be a business person? Because you need to be a business person if you're not, you're never only an artist. So
Mm.
there's a lot of questions that needs to be asked, and a lot of like soul searching, for the lack of a better word, that you need to do before you jump all in. Because it's if you jump all in, it's like it's hard. It's really hard.
That's very wise advice. Um, so did you have to do, I imagine, as most people do, uh, some shitty jobs before you
So
were able to be a full-time artist?
of course, of course. I wouldn't call it a shitty job, but it was something that destroyed my body physically.
Mm.
I was tour guiding for years, and
Mm.
I enjoy tour guiding. So I still, if people ask me if I want a tour guide, I would probably say yes, because I know Paris so well, right? That is like, which part of Paris you want to see, and I can tell you millions of stories. I buy books about Paris constantly because
Hmm.
like, and like it's like again, I'm not like a crazy Francophile person. I am just I just really love this city. I love what it gives us, and I love how many beautiful and insane and like not so good things can happen at the same time here. And for me, like I am really interested in the history and the layers of history in this city, right? So that's why I worked. My friend Maisie, she's like, listen, like I don't think like you want to be an architect. That's why you need good friends around you, right? She's like, maybe you should try something else. So why wouldn't you try tour guiding? That was in 2013.
Mm.
So uh, I was, I mean, I think I would be very successful architect if I wanted to be an architect, right? So like you need to put your mind onto something and push it, right? So, and for me, like tour guiding was a side hustle while I was like on my breaks between going up the Eiffel Tower 4 times a day. Like I would sit down between those Eiffel Tower tours and I would draw, you know, and because I draw constantly, right? So, and I draw on paper. I have little notebooks like this, right, where I paint, where I make collages. It's just like a lot of things that like come out of me because I'm always inspired. And like when I'm not inspired, I'm afraid if this is going to work out, although it is working out. But like that's the thing, right? So you're like I was still doing like my art. Tour guiding, yeah, as I said, like it's something that I did for a very long time, and at some point I did all the walking tours in Paris. Because as I said, like I get bored. Like I don't want to talk about like star monuments all the time. I want to go to Le Marais, or I want to go to Montmartre, or I want to go to other places. So I learned a lot, and like obviously each of those places inspired my next map, my next illustration, my next wedding invite that I did. So it's all of that, and like you meet interesting people as well, right? But like it destroyed my body in terms of like I'm very tall, and I used to run 3 times a week, and my hips, I have like bad arthritis in my right hip, so I feel like I still walk a lot, but like um it's in my terms, like it's not like I have to walk. This is like I'm walking because like I feel like walking, right? So be careful with things you like your side hustles, right? Because like it's insane how much time and how much we can push, and we probably shouldn't push it.
Yeah, it is. It is quite a trade-off. Like if you're on your feet all day, or if you're doing something that is really soul crushing. Like I had a job when I first moved to the UK, doing like telephone surveys, and that was just horrible. um, and yeah, like the toll that it takes on certain things is a lot.
It's a lot. I mean, that's why I left architecture as well, because
Yeah.
like for me was um I love making projects, but like it's something that like architecture is like they assume that you want to work in other people's offices like for 15 hours. And I realized, you know what, if I'm going to work in your office 15 hours, then I would rather work in my own office 15 hours. Because if you work for 15 hours, you first of all, you're going to feel really bad after 6 months. Second thing, you shouldn't do that. Second thing, like of course you're going to develop your job because you have like minions that are working for you for six of us for 15 hours. That's a lot of work, right? So, or you don't know how to organize your work. But like all of that is like I realize that like like it's something that it takes toll. It takes toll, and it is um like you should be honest with yourself, and I'm not saying leave the job that you're having. Like it took me really a while to spread the wings and be like, okay, now, and like now is the time that I'm just gonna work and develop my map business and my illustration business. And and things come, like it's a lot of work for yourself that you need to do in order to show people what you know how to do, right? So I did again, like things that are happening to me, I express them. Like I consider myself visual storyteller because I express things that are happening to me and around me in my little notebooks and in my little drawings, right? So I had benign breast cancer last August, and I never thought of that. I'm like hypochondriac, but like I am not like I check myself, but like you go to the doctor, you don't expect that, right? Of course. So, and it was really scary experience, right? So everything's good now. I'm like friend, like Viva la France. honestly, like their health system is impressive. So they call me every 6 months to come and check myself, right? So and so that happened in August. They operated me beginning of October, and I started before like operation a 30 days animation project on the breast cancer awareness. Instagram blocked me, boobs, no thank you. Like so, like I didn't have, like, nobody really saw that project. At least I thought so. But then the woman who was an editor in chief of Elle in Serbia, she's like, I know you draw female bodies so well. Would you like to draw something for us? The theme is, I thought of you. The theme is female orgasm. And I'm like, yes, please. Yes. So I did that, but it's like, that's why I think you need to do things that don't draw dogs if you don't like drawing dogs. People will ask you to draw dogs, so
that is so interesting. And like this sort of you often get sort of self-censorship, or you get afraid of like putting stuff in the world and saying like, I did this, or a lot of people do, but then, and you can, like, maybe 99 times out of 100 you do that, nothing happens, no one from Elle in Serbia comes to you. But on the 100th time, the editor of Elle Serbia comes to you and says, I want to commission you. And so that's the kind of thing that you can never predict about who is looking for exactly the thing that you do.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of luck involved, and it's heartbreaking but it's like if you watched ever like Voice, the show.
Voice.
Voice.
Yes.
So that's the same thing. There's like millions of people who sing really well, and they're gonna choose that girl who doesn't even know how to sing, but there's something about her, and people see that, right? And just because you don't like her, doesn't mean that the rest of the nation doesn't like her, right? So for me, like, it's interesting to see how luck does play like a role in all of that, but you cannot count. Like, luck is one thing you cannot control, right? And you could, like, that's it. You have to work really hard. I'm a really hardworking person. I love to work, and my biggest problem is not procrastination, as many people I know have that problem. My problem is life-work balance, actually, right? So, like, how to do things that I enjoy that are not actually like connected to my work, right? Because a lot of things, being creative and knowing how to sew, knowing how to knit, knowing how to embroider, that all goes back to like being creative. So like I lost my hobby, so I had to find a different hobby that I will not ever make money from, right? So so I can do that life work balance thing. But like, it's not like, it is a bit about luck, but everything in life is a bit about luck. But like, luck will not happen if you don't work like
exactly. You have to set yourself up to be lucky. You have to make the kinds of choices that will lead to lucky things happening to you.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. It's really well put. It's
Thank you.
Yeah, really nice. Yeah.
So just to kind of change up the subject a little bit, so you've mentioned that you're from Serbia, you live in Paris. What are the different kinds of attitudes in Serbia and in France about money, about how people think about it, talk about it, and like, how is it to navigate both of those things?
A couple of things, like, just before all of that, is like, I think why I stayed in Paris for such a long time is, and why I still love living here, is because Paris gives you opportunities. And I think big cities give you opportunities, right? So anything can happen. Like, I met like a guy who's like Kurt Vonnegut's cousin, right? I met like a woman who illustrated Patti Smith's album, right? So who did photo. I met Prince of Montenegro here to a friend of a friend. So I'm out there. right? And when I was younger, like I was constantly out meeting people. I'm not doing that anymore. Like it's different lifestyle for me, but it's that's why I stayed in Paris, because I really like that. It's a kind of like, if you're not a person like that, that's not for you. Then like like you have other ways of like putting yourself out there. And I when I came here, I was a student that I had I was finishing my second master, and I had a scholarship, and that I will forever be grateful for. But like that scholarship was like I had to save the money, right? So, and I didn't want to ask my parents for the money because I was not 22, right? My parents would give me money, but like I really wanted to show them that I can survive in a big city with what I already have, right? So, so I saved a lot of money, right? And I think constantly saving the money when you're like when you're a student is great. Like I salute that, but at the same time, it does create a poverty mindset, and I think that's what I got from Serbia. Although I'm coming from like upper middle class family, right? Right. My grandmothers had universities. Like my like they were well situated, like from both sides of the families. But like I'm lucky, and I have really like a system from back home that supports me. But all that being said, it's not the question what you get, it's the question what you create afterwards. Because I do fight poverty mindset, right? Because the city it's crazy expensive. It's insane. Like London is, right? Like there's like a couple of places in the world, like Sydney is, like there are a couple of places in the world that are that expensive, right? And I never forget that, right? So you like limit yourself constantly to enjoy life, right? So, and that poverty mindset is not only about money, it's also about like lifestyle and everything. Like, I mean, obviously I love life, and like for me, like living is very important, and like enjoying it the way I can. But at the same time, um, I am very careful, which is good, but you shouldn't be always, you have to relax from time to time. And I think that's what I, what I took from Serbia. There's also a thing that like, being an artist was never an option for me. That's something that when I say I'm an artist, I struggle with that sentence, right? Because like I come from a family of engineers, and I come from a poor country that like being an artist means that you're gonna suffer, and I am not up for that, right? No thanks. That's good, but no, not me, right? So so yeah, that's like something that I still struggle with. And I think that comes also, I remember like my first book that was published in London, it's called What My Girlfriends Told Me. And it's like the words of the women who like, of my friends who shaped my life and who helped me, or who I helped them. Like it's little phrases, right? Of different, like the different sentences, like little pearls of advice, so to say, right? And like it's illustrated with like watercolor. So I remember my grandfather, who is one of the dearest person, and he'll always be like in my like, I think the person who loved me the most in my life. Although I had a lot of love in my life, because I know that my mom would be like, I am the one who loves you the most, right? So my dad would do the same. But like I was drawing a lot of women when I was a kid. Like I love drawing women. Like I always loved drawing women. And my grandfather would be like, why do you draw women? Why don't you draw a house? Here, draw a house, right? Because house means that you can be an architect, right? That you can actually make money. Like, what are you going to be? Like fashion designer? No. We're going to be an artist? No, right? So, I mean, and that's something I remember. And I was probably 4 years old, right? Because that's that, like what you get. And I mean, I am grateful that I got that from them because I know how to make money, but like at the same time, it's something that does, you need to unlearn the poverty mindset. You don't have to unlearn the fact that like how to make money and to save the money and to push the ways to make the money, to open yourself to other possibilities. That's how I became a teacher. That's how I became a tour guide, right? So all of that, right, is part of that, like what I learned, what I came with from Serbia. But that poverty mindset where like there are things to do and things not to do, is what I'm still changing. And I'm grateful that I met people who helped me, who showed me that I'm doing that, right? So I can change it. Does that make sense? Did I
Yeah.
answer your question?
Yeah,
So
definitely. Um, and I realized just as we were saying that, like we talked at the start about your map business, but we haven't talked about the teaching stuff that you do and like all of your other many streams of income. So I think it's really interesting for people to hear like the different ways, because like I see stuff from you constantly on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, and you're always, as you say, like creating opportunities to make money. So, can you tell us some of the different ways?
so yeah, with um, well, my teaching job came. I really like sharing knowledge with people, and the other book that I did, it's called What a Woman. It's about the women in Serbia. It's somewhere up there. It's about the women. I have like etagere. I have shelves above with my book. So it's about women in Serbia who changed our future, who changed our past in order to create a society that we live in today. It's all the women from the secular world. I'm really proud of that book. I was the co-author. There was a sociologist who wrote it, and I did like we developed it together. It was like a blog, and then it became like a book, and we managed to get a second edition. We're hoping to get a third one. Very proud. I'm very proud of that. And one of the women who is my favorite woman from that book is a woman who I always talk about her when people ask me about that book because we constantly have interviews about that book back home,
Right.
and it's like they are so. It's like a woman who actually pushed women at the end of the 19th century to use everything they know how to do. So they know how to knit, they know how to embroider, they know how to color the linen, they know how to like clean, but like all like it was more artisanal work that they knew how to do. So she pushed them, she empowered them to do those things because if she's like a widow or like a single mom or like something happened to the family or like they need like just more money, so she empowered them to do things that they know how to do and to share that knowledge. And for me, she's a great inspiration, and I really like that idea of like empowering people to learn things like embroidery. I love embroidery workshops because you're showing something that like I was lucky to have grandmother who knew how to embroider, so I learned that from her, but that was just a base, like learn how to hold that. Like I try to learn like embroidery every day. Like I try because it's such a vast field, right? And I like teaching that. I also work in school, so I teach digital illustration here to French kids, and I really like that because working with kids is wonderful because you show them, like, first of all you see how their world works, and then you show them all the ways they can get inspired and all the possible ways that they can go with like their ideas. So and like when the times were better, pre-COVID times, I used to also do workshops, map making workshops. So we walk around the city. That was great. So we walk around, and I like met so many interesting people. So you walk around the city, and I explain how to look at the city from a different viewpoint. So you're not a tourist anymore, or you're not like just like somebody who lives in the city, but you're searching for serendipity. You're searching for interesting things, right? And then at the end, we sit down and we make our map. So yeah, it's just like all the things that I can give to people, I can teach people. I like putting those in different workshops and like showing that to people, right? So
Yeah. I have a friend who she's a large business training virtual assistants. And one of her like sort of mottos is teach what you know. So
exactly, and like it's also important like that, like you feel comfortable teaching that, right? Because I know there's a lot of people who are moving to the online teaching world now, a lot. And I'm sure you took a bunch of courses, like, because we all did, like, in the last year. And like, there's a lot of people who, like, I think you see who's comfortable with teaching. First of all, who likes teaching. You need to like teaching, right? And the second thing is, like, you need to structure something in your head in order to teach, right? Because like that's something that like you need to push yourself to deconstruct what you're doing in order to teach somebody.
yeah, and that's hard, isn't it?
It's super hard.
Yeah, I actually ran some freelance writing, like introduction to freelance. You came to one of them, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah. I know,
I forgot.
but I thought that was more for the LinkedIn, so that's why I didn't react. Like I thought it was more. Um, yeah. Okay. Go. Sorry.
It's okay. Um, yeah. Well, I did it. I was sort of like initially, I was sort of like a um,
It was copywriting. No
yeah,
more.
it was
Yeah.
exactly. But I wanted to do it for artists because it was like you can do this as a, you know, as a cool thing, and it will like it's a better job than like the backbreaking one potentially. Hopefully, it doesn't have to be. But it was very hard to like think about like, oh, what is it that I know, what is it that I do on autopilot. You have to actually like step outside and go, okay, how do I explain this to people, how do I like, what am I doing, what are the sort of learnable processes that are happening along this. Yeah, it's
It's
hard.
interesting because you need to inspire people. That's one thing, right? And then second thing is like you need to know the background of, like, let's say a program, right? Or like if I'm doing a walking map workshop, no, it's not how it's called, but that. So when we were like walking around making a map, like you need to know colors, right? So like what they should use, because like it's a small place where we usually sit in a Parisian cafe and we draw, right? So it's like it needs to be something that is like you need to know what can be used, what cannot be used, and that's like it's hard. It's hard the first year, but that's what all teachers say. The first year is always really hard because you need to like get used to the questions, right? So, and like to have the program and to develop the program and whatnot. And it's obviously the question of the people on the other side, their age, their interests, their, a lot of things. And you need to be equally good no matter how old they are and who they are. And that's hard. I mean, it's not hard, but it's part of you have to think of that, right? So.
Um, so so you do the map making, you do a bunch of workshops. You've referred to two books, but I know you've written more.
Yeah, I want to go back to one. I'm gonna
Yeah.
talk about books. I don't know how much time we have, so we're just talking here. So I'll make lunch and we can continue. It's so I want to say that like I want to go back to the money thing because I think I find it very for me. It's like because I worked for American company for a very long time, and I learned, like, when I worked as a tour guide, and I met a lot of amazing people there, and they taught me a lot of things about money, like a lot of things about capitalism, which is very important. If you have to understand it, right? And I'm the generation that was born in one country that was called Yugoslavia, right? and by the parents who lived in socialism, right? So and then they changed their works in order to like make us happy, right? So like I think we still have that socialist thing in ourselves, and I think that blocks you. Like, so you need to unlearn that, and you need to like learn the capitalism, at least the base of it, right? So, and I think I know when I'm talking this, when I'm saying this to my Australian friends, they're like, "What are you talking about?" But it's something that is like very like it's in you. It's from like it's something. It's like the place that you are coming from. That you cannot like it, you can unlearn like the ideas, but you're always gonna have it in you, right? So, and for example, like the same thing, I think like Australian people, for example, are really great storytellers, right? So all of the people I know, they like have, I mean, this is a terrible generalization, but there's something in that. Like same thing with Irish people, for example, right? It's storytelling. It's really storytelling. And then like I don't know, like it's like I think it's interesting because like I wasn't prepared of like talking about Serbia, and like Balkans and all they were bringing, but like one way or another, you're like you bring things because that's what you grew up with, right? So and I think what I also came from Serbia with is the way I am like being resourceful. Like being resourceful is like very Balkan thing, I find. People, you find a way to live, and you find a way to live good, right? So and that's I think how I managed to do all of those things. Sorry, my computer is going. Yeah. So that's how you actually that's how I pushed myself to all those different levels, right? With a book. So yeah, my first book, I actually like in the heyday of the company that was Mappery. So I say like it passed because like now I do everything under my name, right? So everything is under Sonja Bajic. And my plan is I'm actually launching in the next month or so, like a website that's going to be just for maps. So you can click and buy a map card. Like, so I'm on Etsy, but like, I'm not like Etsy is great for people to find you if you're lucky and if you pay the ad, right? So, but like I have like I want to reconstruct the mappery in the terms it's going to be called like something around Sonja Bajic, you'll see, and like I have lots of things but I do want to show people more because people still contact me mostly for maps, like, right? So I did like illustration for a book, and the woman wanted like me to illustrate all the places that are in the book for her book, right? So it's like an imaginary map. Anyhow, so yeah, my first like the heyday of Mappery, like I sent a pitch to to 120 companies in like English speaking book publishers, and one of them she said, yes, I would really like to talk to you, right? She was from London, and she tried to sell that idea because again it's a question of the market. So and she's like, that was the 2015 when the terrorist attacks happened in Paris. We were all wondering if people will come back to Paris, and my maps were like the maps of Paris, right? So she's like, no, this we will not be able to sell this, but like if you have any other idea, please send me like your pitch. And I sent her a pitch in 2000, I believe 17, no, or 16, and she liked it straight away, and she's like, yep. That's how what my girlfriends told me were born, right? In the meantime, I did self-publish a book about pumpkins because I love pumpkins. It was more of a zine, but like I really worked hard on it, and it's really cute. And I did like, because bookmaking is something that interests me. It's one of those hobbies that I don't plan to like make money from. So what I did with this book, I did like every book cover is different. So I actually stamped it. I made a little like I made stamps, and I stamped it. So like you have each of the books is actually like a unique book, right? So it's like one of a kind. and I did like 50 maybe. So that's, I don't have, I think I have one that is mine, and I sold it all. And then yeah, What a Woman came out in Serbia in 2018, and I also did illustrations for I co-authored the book that is a book of poetry that is called the how would you call that, the workbook for fear, maybe like that. So the idea is like, so you have a poem on one side, on the other side you have my illustration that is in black and white, that you can cut, you can paint, you can like color over, you can like, you know, join the lines. So it's like exploring your creativity like while reading poems. So yeah, that came out in Belgrade, and she's like exquisite poetess. So I really like that project as well. Uh, so yeah, and I'm working at the moment on two different books. So one is the book about my hometown, but I cannot talk much about it because it's not still like, we are still not like ringing bells for it. So and the other is the one that was a Kickstarter project that was very successful. So we it just finished 2 weeks ago. So we managed to gather over 8,000 euros for the. It's a children's book about diversity and about the beauty of differences. It's wonderful, and I can say that because it's not. I didn't write it. It was like two women from France and from UK who wrote it, and they invited me to illustrate it and like participate with them in the Kickstarter campaign. And for me, I've never, like, it's very scary for me doing Kickstarter campaign, but with them, I understood how it goes, and it was very, very interesting. Yeah, so I'm very proud that we.
Yeah.
I'm really bad in celebrating success, but like I'm
Mhm.
proud. I'm proud that we
Good.
managed to do it.
Yeah, it's hard to celebrate successes, especially when you're self-employed and you're like, okay, on to the next thing, on to the next thing.
I
Do
appreciate that you're saying that because I feel like I'm crazy sometimes for
you know,
not celebrating it.
no, I always say to people like you have to it's especially if you're feeling like one of those days where it's like, oh, nothing is working and like there's still so far to reach my goals. I always like say like you have to sort of pause and look back down the mountain and see how far up you've climbed.
Yeah, have you seen my illustration of the hills?
No.
I did it. So that what you said. So my therapist, she's making me sit on the mountain. That's her phrase. So she's like, sit on the mountain and look at all the success that
Yeah.
all the things you've done. So exactly what you said.
Funny.
And I was like, wait a minute. So I did illustration last week about like all those, like like it was fun because I was searching for all different words for the English words for the word mountain, right, or hill. So
Yeah.
there's like the hill of hope, like mountain of like sleepless nights, la 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 la. Look at it, like I did like
Oh, I'll,
it's a reel, but I'll do the. I plan to do like a poster actually because I
oh,
think we
great.
need it.
Well, I'll put a link to it in the show
Yeah,
notes when we release the
yeah,
episode.
great.
That's so funny. I was going to ask you if there's anything you had learnt from the process of doing a Kickstarter, because I think a lot of people would be interested in hearing about that.
Yeah, so it's you need to have rich friends. That's what I learned.
That is amazing advice.
I am serious. Find rich friends. I am no, I'm joking. I'm not joking to find rich friends, but I am. I'm not joking that you need rich. Like you have to have people around you who support your projects, right? So, but it's a lot like first of all, you need to have really good marketing strategy. Like as with everything, you need to have marketing strategy, and we did that part. But still, I think like for like if I did it, like it depends on where you're coming from. I remember a friend of mine, couple like 2 years ago, she lost her like something in Paris, like bike, and she asked for people to chip in, right, to give the money, and because like she did lost the job and lost the money, and like people would just did that, like she gained like 4,000 euros or $4,000, right? Which if I did that, like they would never first of all I would never do it,
Yeah.
right? I would never do it. but like there was nobody. People would be like, "Do you need help?" Like, like it was something shameful. But she was like, I was so impressed by her. She's like, I am in a bad moment in my life. She's a hardworking person, so she's not like like person who doesn't want to work. She's a hardworking person. She's just like, I have a problem. I'll ask for money. She's from the States, right? So there's that whole thing. Like I think like projects like they understand like it's a different like I don't know. I really like the concept of the Kickstarter. You believe in something and you put it like out there. Like in Serbia, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like in Balkans, it's really hard. Like right. So I have my good friends who chipped in right for the Kickstarter, but like I see that Western Europe, so friends of two of them, like it just like it's a different approach, right? So this is very not nice what I'm saying right now. I'm aware,
It's
but
interesting.
it's just like I find it very interesting because I feel that like it's something that you it's the way the things work, right? It's a systematic thing, right? So and that leads me back to capitalism, right? So who's gonna support your project, right? So and I have people who always support all my projects, and I'm so grateful for them, right? So they would support whatever I'm doing. They're gonna support. Those are the people who support me on Patreon as well,
Oh, you have a
which opens a new door.
I know so many things. I think we'll have to do like a two-part or something. No,
So
we'll,
it's
we'll we'll wrap it
yeah,
up soon. I will let people
yeah,
stalk you in their
no,
own time and like follow
yeah. So it's a
stuff.
yeah. So it's like I have like you need to like I am very grateful for my customers and for my friends who support my project,
Yeah,
right? But it's the question of like how you it's the it has to come from a very modest place, right? You need to like for I feel it like it's just like you need like I feel a bit ashamed to push people like can you like chip in for the project, right? So and often you have to do that, right? So you need to remind people, so like don't be afraid to remind people to help you with the Kickstarter, right? So do not launch the Kickstarter before you develop the marketing strategy.
yeah,
Do not like you have to create like funny visuals, right? You have to pay your artist as well, because if it's your idea, it's your idea, but like artist needs to be paid, right? So because that's the way you're going to have like a good Kickstarter campaign, because then the artist will create like cute little graphic things, right? So and that's what you need. That's what like and be the king or the queen of the social media as well. That's a lot of work and that's really hard.
definitely. Um, so before we wrap up, I have some um, questions I ask like nuts and bolts questions. So you were saying that when you were a student, you saved. Do you still save money? Are you
I
still,
do.
yeah, and
I
like what
do.
proportion of your income, or is it like an automatic thing, or is it like, oh, I get a chunk of money, so I'm going to put some of it away?
It's more yeah, it's not systematic.
Yeah.
It's like more like there are months when you earn more and there are months when you earn less. When you earn more, you have to have in mind that there's going to be months when you're going to earn less, and that's it. So it's not systematic, it's more automatic. That's the word, right? So and it's also that being said, like working as an artist or as a freelancer, remember that there's going to be rainy months, and that's okay. I think that's what people constantly need to be constantly reminded, because I forget that and you freak out and you're like, oh my god, I will never have money again, right? But
Yeah.
that's not true. Like down the
No.
line you're gonna have like there are months where you like work, and then there are months when you're just like
Yeah.
they're more chill. So yeah.
Totally. What is your next financial goal?
My next financial goal is to no, I have a lot of financial goals, right?
Tell me
So
one of them.
yeah, I want to go. I want to do work on maps that are not digital, right? So, and I want to sell that as a like art pieces, like big maps. And generally, I work a lot in like in the like not on the computer. So that's what I try to like do as well, right? So it's like selling art pieces that are uh, I'm searching for the right word. Obviously, I need to work on this, but it's like selling art pieces. So not selling digital art pieces, but selling uh, non-digital art pieces. So because I have like lots of embroideries, I have um, lots of um, hand painted things or hand drawn things, right? That I wish to push to sell, right? So and that I mean I think that you'll need like a gallery representation for that, or like having a show in a gallery. And
Yeah, that's a big step.
it's a big step, yeah.
Yeah. What is your worst money habit?
Constantly worrying about the money.
Mm,
I always worry about the money,
yeah.
right? So um, yeah, it's that thing what I said as an advice that I need to follow. It's like how do you like don't live in the poverty mindset, right? So like and like celebrate those months when you earn a lot. Buy something for yourself. Have something that will remind you that you actually did something.
That's nice. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um, if there was no, like, if money were no object, you had all the money you wanted, how would you spend your time?
Mm, it's hard because like it's like when you're in a business, you always think about like the next big thing,
Yeah.
right? Um, I would have a house um, that is close to that has a garden, and I would learn about. No, I would be a druid. That's what I would do.
You'd be a druid.
Yeah, I
Okay.
would be. I would like go to the forest and like take the plants and like I would make the plants and I would probably paint the plants and paint with plants. Make pigments and like create that and like make like cook things and share it with people. Like like I would be a druid. That's it. That's it. I
Oh my
found.
God, that's the best answer. I thought you'd be like, oh, I would just like draw all the time, or no, you'd be a druid. Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
That paints, druid that paints, but still a druid, right?
That's so funny. Um, and finally, what piece of advice would you give to someone who is starting out, wanting to be an illustrator now?
Draw, draw, make, find a sketchbook. So take the first notebook that you find. I have millions of notebooks around here and draw. Like, I don't want iPads. Like, I want people drawing. That's what I do with my kids the kids that I'm teaching, right? So I'm like, I don't want to see anything on the screen until you first draw it on the paper, right? So I think there's a lot of amazing new illustrators on Instagram, but I think they need to draw. They need to learn how to make mistakes. It's because like it's really hard. Like when you draw on the tablet, it's much easier. Um, the non-save, la la, never happened, right? But that's not the point. It's
Yeah.
point to see your mistakes because that's how you're gonna see the progress, right? When I look at my maps from like 8 years ago, I'm like, ooh, this is like doesn't have like the right texture, doesn't have right colors, right? So, but that's progress. That's where I was. That's who I was. I'm proud of that person, right? But like, I think like people need to draw more. If you wanted like that kind of advice, like money-wise, I can do money-wise as well.
Do that, yeah.
Yeah, I think money-wise is like, don't like there's gonna be days when you're very discouraged, and that's okay. Like it doesn't like there's gonna be a days when you're gonna be very, very proud of yourself as well. So like it's the balance at the end. And also spend less time on social media. Social media is evil. So
Wise advice. Sonja, thank you so much. This has been an absolute delight.
It was great talking to you, Viv. I really enjoyed it as well.
Me too. Okay. Thank you for tuning in to the Artists Make Money podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Artists Make Money, where you can also sign up for our weekly newsletter. You can find me on Twitter at vivegan41, and you'll find Sonja on Instagram and Twitter at Sonja Bajic. That's SonjaBajic. We will link it in the show notes. You can also visit her Etsy store to purchase her products, or if you sign up for her mailing list via her website, you will get a 10% off code for your first order. The music for this podcast was composed by Tiiva. You can find them at Tiiva Music. Link in the show notes. If you enjoyed the show, I'd love it if you would give us a follow, share it with a friend, or write a review on Apple Podcasts. Being an artist is hard, and making a living from it is even harder. But I believe in you. Keep going.